There are two primary ways of communicating with beings of higher consciousness. One is through astral projection, where you leave your physical body and communicate to them in person. As much as I'd love to break into astral travel right now, we have to save that for later. The other method involves having a being come to Earth and communicate through a trained person, and this is called channeling. Channeling is a natural form of communication between humans and beings of higher consciousness, included but not limited to angelic beings, spirits of nature, non-physical entities, or even animals and pets. In a sense, it's basically when a human will turn him or herself into kind of like a phone for beings of higher consciousness and people to communicate. A channeler can choose who or what they want to channel. As long as the other party has an interest in communicating, the link is made and the channeling can begin. Now don't worry, there's no possession or anything harmful taking place here. The body is still under the complete control of the channeler. But the channeler and spirit are communicating through thought. Messages are communicated on levels of emotion and thought rather than spoken word. The channeler will then decipher what the spirit tells him into human language. Contrary to popular belief, entities do not generally use human languages because it is considered awkward and clumsy. The majority of this message is conveyed through an elegant series of sensory feelings. Let's talk about animal communication, because this is a form of channeling that you yourself can do. Channeling pets is one of the easiest forms of this art. Pets, of course, do not use human language, but they have a strong desire to communicate with humans. A small disclaimer, if you're planning on trying this, it's also helpful to charge your third eye chakra, as we talked about in Lesson 2. It will assist with your mental connection to them. You'll want to practice on a family pet before taking a leap to anything else. A cat or dog who is familiar with you is the best choice to begin. Cats are a tad more difficult because they tend to pick and choose what they want to listen to. A family dog can be easier as they are pack animals and will be more apt to tune in to the leader of the pack, which is you. So let's go over some of the basic steps to do this. Start by taking your dog into a quiet room. Sit on the floor next to him, or if he's allowed on the couch or bed, have him sit next to you. Pet him in his favorite spot until he's settled in. Then start talking quietly to him in a loving tone. Find one short sentence or word and use it over and over. You could say, hey there sweetie, or okay buddy. Let's just call this your key phrase. When you've gone over your key phrase 10 times or so, close your eyes and be silent. Stop petting him and begin to form a picture in your mind of what you want him to know. You may have to practice visualizations if you haven't ever done this before. After the picture is formed and clear, float the image out of your forehead where your third eye is located and into your dog's head directly between the eyes. Once you've done this, speak the key phrase again one more time and float the image again into his head. Keep doing this until he either leaves to get up or puts his head on your lap. If he leaves, follow him and do it again. If you begin to get a reaction from him, like putting his head in your lap or something else, congratulations, you've just communicated with your dog. Cats are a bit more stubborn, so it'll depend on the cat you're trying to communicate with. The image you're visualizing to him may have to be their favorite cat treat or something that they really like. If they're especially loving snuggle cats, then that's all the better. Use the same directions with the dog though, and who knows, you could be talking with them in no time. If you have smaller animals like avians and reptiles, you have to remember that the animal has a smaller brain. The reception of pictures is apt to be slower and take longer. Remember, practice and patience is crucial to learning to do this. You'll probably start with minimal results, but if you're persistent, you will not only master the family pet chat, but other animals around you, like your friends' pets or pets in the car barking at you as you walk by and so on. One big question that everyone has around now, well, do they talk back? Yeah, they do. I communicate with my cat Toonie, and he always tells me what he wants, whether it's food, water, or to go outside. I've actually read that horses are really good at communication as well. In an article I'll be posting in the comments of this video, a woman said that one time she had a horse specifically ask for a green apple, not a red one. Had to be green. Of course, she immediately got one and gave it to her, and they started communicating more. I know what you're probably thinking. Well, don't I have to be psychic to do this? Well, yes, but everyone is psychic, but most people don't really realize it. There's a gland in the brain called the pineal gland, which scientists have actually labeled the psychic gland. Through charging your third eye chakra, you begin to activate the pineal gland, and your psychic connection can begin. Just remember to release the concept that you'll hear words, and allow yourself to feel into your animal friend. So now we understand how to channel beings of lower consciousness, animals. For beings of higher consciousness, it's essentially the same thing, only reversed. In this scenario, we are like the animal, and we are communicating with beings who know and understand far more than we do. There's actually a being channeled named Cryon of Magnetic Service. He talks a lot about worldly events and what's going on a global scale. What's interesting is that Cryon has been invited to the United Nations 7 times over the last 13 years. If the UN listens to channeling, maybe it deserves a little more credibility than we realize. On my YouTube, I'm going to be posting small snippets from various channels, but most of them from Crimson Circle. Crimson Circle started out in 1999 when a being named Tobias started communicating with Jeffrey Hope. There's actually a really cool story here. I can't go over all of the details, but Tobias was actually written about in the Bible, in the book of Tobit. This particular book was removed by the church in 1546 during the Council of Trent. Tobias was written as one of the main characters in that book, and Jeffrey and him began communicating more. In 1999, Crimson Circle was formed, a group dedicated to communicating with Tobias and other spirits. Up until recently, it was mostly Tobias who was channeled by the Crimson Council. Tobias then said that he wanted to return to Earth and live another lifetime because he missed physical reality and said his goodbyes. Today, Adamus St. Germain is channeled instead, and he's very lively. A little insight on Adamus: he is what you would call an ascended master. An ascended master is someone who underwent a process of spiritual transformation and moved into higher states of being beyond physical life. This will make way more sense in future lessons. Okay, I want to wrap up by going over a short list of definitions. During the channelings, you may hear some words that you're not familiar with. Amyo is absolute and pure trust in the self, the realization of the I am. Makyo are kind of like lies that you tell yourself, that take you away from the I am, like I'm not good enough or I can't do it yet. Kind of like the opposite of Amyo. Ascension is the process of going from one lifetime to the next while staying in the same physical body. Kaldra, you may hear this one a lot actually. Kaldra is the nickname that Tobias gave to Jeffrey, so if you ever hear Jeffrey say during a channeling, Kaldra doesn't want me to say this, but I will anyways, that's Adamus speaking through Jeffrey about Jeffrey, whose nickname is Kaldra. Is that confusing? Shambra is the name that Adamus uses for the group of humans going through the awakening process. If you're watching the videos, you too are a Shambra. Shoud is a channeling, essentially. What you'll be watching are shouds, gatherings for communication with Adamus and other beings. Well, that wraps this one up. Happy channeling!
Nothing like the sun to keep you from stumbling in the dark. Fall down once or twice, you figure out where you gotta start.